Good morning, everyone. We are coming to you live via Facebook streaming, via YouTube streaming, and also via Skype. Each one of you is welcome to this live streaming. Sutras of Vigyan Bhairav Tantra. Door to innerness opens through initiation and grace. A question is asked. We have heard a number of techniques, number of meditation techniques through the talks on Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, and still much more are to be explained. But I am beginning to feel that the door to innerness cannot really open through techniques. It depends on initiation and grace. How can one be capable of receiving initiation and grace? It is an important question, and the question is right. Technique is one thing. As a matter of fact, through these talks, I am explaining the methodology of these techniques. This is a generalized explanation, not specific to any particular seeker. When we look into grace itself is a technique. By changing the words, the subject matter does not change. Grace really means surrender. You can receive the grace of the Master when you surrender. Surrender is a technique. If you do not know how to surrender, it is difficult to receive the grace. So grace is not given, it is received. No one can give grace, but you can receive it. When an individual attains to enlightenment, the inner sun is lit. The inner lamp is lit. Its light is radiating. A flower has blossomed. Its beauty and fragrance is surrounding. Does flower gives its beauty and fragrance to you? It has blossomed. It is there. It is for you to receive it. If your nostrils are not open, if your eyes are not open, you cannot see the beauty, you cannot smell the deep fragrance of the flower. In the same way, when an individual attains to enlightenment, his inner lamp is lit and it begins to radiate light. This light is nothing else but grace. Just as I said, lamp is lit, light is radiating. Enlightened one is, since his inner lamp is lit, light is always radiating as grace. It is no effort on his part. It is flowing effortlessly. It is there. If you can receive, you can. If you cannot receive it, you cannot. It sounds paradoxical, but this is the truth. Grace is not given by the Master and it cannot be given by the Master. It is received by the disciple. But how to be a disciple, that is important. Again, it is a technique. How to surrender, how to become receptive is important. Surrender means, and disciple means the same thing, the receptivity. And surrender is one of the most difficult things. You cannot surrender your anger. You cannot surrender your sadness. Then how can you surrender your total being to an awakened one? You cannot surrender nonsensical things. You cannot surrender your disease. Then how can you surrender yourself? You cannot surrender your neurosis. How can you surrender your being? Surrendering means surrendering totally. You leave everything totally to the Master. You say, now I am no more. You are, do whatsoever you like. And when you wait, and when you do not again go and ask him, how is he going to do things or that, but this is natural, everyone does it, and then complains that things are not improving. When you have told the Master that you are no more, you have given the reins in the hands of the Master, then you do not go every moment to find out how is that going to happen. You have surrendered, you are finished. There is nothing to be asked anymore now. In the right moment, the things will happen, but how to do it? Master cannot do it, happens through him. This also needs a great awareness. Ordinarily, stupid people think that surrender is very easy, but that is ignorance. They think that you go and touch the feet of the Master and that alone is surrender. Just touching the feet can be the surrender. But do not think that because you have touched the feet of the Master that you have surrendered. Surrendering is inner happening, inner attitude. It is putting yourself off, forgetting yourself completely. Only Master remains. You are no more. Only the Master is. Kabir in one of the beautiful compositions says, when I was, God was not. When I was, God was not. When God is, I am not. The inner lane is very narrow. Two cannot exist in that. In one of another composition, The lanes of love are very narrow, two cannot stay together. It requires great awareness. This can be done only if there is deep awareness. And what is awareness? Awareness will come if you go on doing these techniques and you feel continuously that you are helpless. But do not decide on your helplessness before doing them. You are doing it. But at the same time, you know that you are helpless. One of the Kawal was singing, going to meet a master. It has two steps. One is his effort, that he has to come out of the house. He has to reach to the master's place. He has to take the vehicle or his own vehicle and then start the journey. This is on his part. It may happen that when he reaches there, the master is not there, or he just has left, or something. So this particular Kawal or poet is singing that although I have decided to go and meet the master, I have done my actions, my duty, but everything depends on thy grace. I have started my journey. May I be able to meet the master when I reach. You will say that I have already started. Why do I have to say this? But this is relevant. You have started the journey. Many things can happen on the way, like the car can break down, or there may be traffic, or so many possibilities exist. So the two things are, you have, that is in your hand, to get up early in the morning, leave your bed, leave your laziness, take a shower and get ready to start your journey. So, as far as your effort is concerned, that is in your hand, but still you are helpless. So, if you go on doing the techniques and at the same time continuously feel that you are helpless, then this is what awareness, this is how the awareness comes. Two steps are there. You have to do your karma, actions, coming out of the house, starting the car or taking a cab or whatsoever be, or take the public transport to reach to the place. So you keep the time factor into mind. How long will it take if you take your own vehicle, or you take a hired vehicle, and as compared to that, how much time will it take when you take the public transport? But at the same time, you are continuously praying, continuously knowing that you are helpless, and without the help of the existence of the master, you cannot meet him. But do not decide on your helplessness before you have done your techniques. In that case, your helplessness will be false. First, do them, and do them authentically. Authentically means you got up early in the morning, you get dressed, you get ready, you start your car. Authentically. No excuses. This is what technique means. If technique happens to help you, there is no need to surrender. Starting the car and going is not the solution. If technique happens to help you, there is no need to surrender. You will be transformed. But if you do them authentically, totally, really, fully, if you do not deceive yourself and still nothing happens, then you feel helplessness. You will feel that I cannot do anything. If this goes deep in you, this feeling of helplessness, only then you will be capable of surrendering, not before. You have done the things, a technique is given to you. You have to do it totally, putting your 100% into it. And if nothing happens, then a state of helplessness comes. But really no one feels helpless. If someone says that through the grace of the Master it can happen, you think you are ready just this very moment. It is a question of doing something. You may say you can do it whenever you want it, but it is not a question of grace. You say, okay, it can be received from someone. I can receive it this very moment. In that situation, you are not helpless. You are lazy, and there is a great difference. In laziness, no grace can be received. Only in a state of helplessness, and helplessness has nothing to do with laziness. Helplessness comes to those who first make their every effort to reach, to penetrate, to do, and when you have done everything correctly and nothing happens, you feel helpless. Only then you surrender to someone. Your surrendering will itself become a technique. It is the last of the techniques. It comes to the last when you have done all your efforts. But people try it first. That is the last, the ultimate, when nothing happens by your doing. If there is, and then with this comes helplessness. And helplessness, if you lose all hopes, your ego is shattered. The ego feels that I can do it on my own. I don't need anyone. If you lose all hopes, your ego is shattered, then you know that nothing cannot be done alone. Then your hand reaches to the feet of the Master. Then it is a different kind of reach. as compared to the first, that you go and touch the feet of the Master or bow down to him and feel that you have surrendered. Surrender happens in a state of helplessness, and helplessness comes when you have done all the possible efforts. All your hopes have been shattered, and then and only then your hands reach the feet of the Master. You are helplessly reaching for him, searching for him. Your whole being moves to the feet, not only the hands. Your hands can move, but your total being is not into it. And the moment your whole being reaches to the feet of the Master, you become just a womb to receive. You have learned the art of receiving. Then grace is available. It has never been unavailable. It is always there. In every age, in every period, there have been enlightened ones. But unless you are ready to lose yourself, you will not be able to connect to him. You may be just sitting behind him, sitting in front of him, by the side of him, but there will be no inner connection. There are 3 types of distances. First distance is of space. You are sitting there, I am sitting here, and there is a space between the 2 points. This is a distance in space. You can come near and the distance will be less. You can touch me, the distance is lost. But in that case, only space is lost. The second kind of distance is in time. Your beloved has passed away, your friend has died. In space, one point has disappeared completely. It's 2 things, you and I. You can make an effort to move towards me. I can make effort to move towards you. You are in the dimension of space. The other is the dimension of time. Your friend has died, your master has passed away. In space, the other point has disappeared completely. There is infinite distance, but in time, you will feel your friend is just nearby. The distance may be, I may be, you may be far away from me, but you can feel the presence surrounding you. You close your eyes, the friend is there, the master is there. In time, it may be that the person who is sitting by your side is far away, more distant than your beloved, who is now no more in the world. The beloved is dead. Then by and by, there will be a greater distance in time. People say time heals. When that time is very, very distant, the memory becomes more and more faint and it disappears. The third distance exists, and that is a third dimension. It is the dimension of love. If you are in love with someone, then he may be on another planet or star, but in your love, he is near you, he is close to you. He may have died. There may be centuries of distance between you and him, but in love there is no distance. Love is the greatest closeness. If you love, so the first dimension is the type dimension of space. The two are close to one another. Two persons, you can come closer and closer to one another. The second is distance in time. The person has passed away, or you have come to another country, you are living in another city. There is distance in time. The third distance exists as a distance, as a third dimension, which is love. If you are in love with someone, then there is no distance, no time gap. The person may be existing on another star or another planet, but in love he is near you. He may have died. There may be centuries of distance between you and him, but in love there is no distance. You can experience this with a Buddha, with an awakened one. Master says, why are you saddened when my body is not there? I have come closer to you. Someone can be near Buddha just now. 25 centuries mean nothing because the distance is of love. In space there is no Buddha now. The body has disappeared. In time there is a distance of 25 centuries. I am taking all the three dimensions. The physical dimension, the 2 points are not there. 25 centuries means nothing because the distance is of love. In space there is no Buddha, there is no body, both have disappeared. In time there is a distance measured in terms of 25 centuries, but in love there is no distance. If someone is in love with Buddha, time and distance, time and space distances disappear. He will be just here and you can receive his grace. You may be just sitting by the side of Buddha. There is no gap as far as space is concerned. There is no distance as far as time is concerned. But if there is no love, there is infinite distance. So someone may have died, may have lived with Buddha without being in contact. Someone may be just here now who is in contact with Buddha. Grace happens in the dimension of love. For love, everything is always eternally present. So if you are in love, grace can happen. But love is surrendering. Love means now the other has become more important than yourself. Now for the other's life, for the sake of the other, you are ready to die. For the other to live, you are ready to sacrifice yourself. The other has become the center and you are the periphery, the circumference. By and by you disappear completely, the other remains, and in the right moment grace is received. But do not think that Master is the one who can give you grace. Think of becoming a helpless disciple, totally surrendered in love. The Master will come to you. That is why Sufis say the Master appears when the disciple is ready. Disciple's readiness means he has become a womb, and womb he can become only in a state of helplessness. When the disciple is ready, the Master always comes. But it is not a question of physical presence. When you are ready, from an unknown source, the dimension of love, from an unknown source, the dimension of love, happens. And grace happens in that state. I am talking of these techniques in a generalized way. And I am talking about so many techniques that are there in Vigyan Bhairav Tantra. In fact, 112 techniques of meditation. Because I am talking about so many techniques, I know there are two possibilities. You may try some, you may just get confused, and the later is more possible that you get confused about it. With 112 techniques, listening to one and then another continuously, you become confused. You think that it is beyond to you. So many techniques. So what to do and what not to do. This is what happened to this person who had asked this question. It may come to your mind that it is better to receive the grace, the Guru Kripa, then you go into this woods of the techniques, and that is very complex. So it is easier to receive the grace, but that will not happen to you if such is the thinking. Try these techniques, any of these techniques, be honest in trying. If you are a failure, then with that failure, then that failure will become your surrender. And that is the ultimate technique. Surrender is the ultimate technique only when you have tried all your efforts. You have tried the technique honestly. I am speaking on these techniques one after the other. You have chosen one, you have tried it sincerely and honestly, and then you have failed. Only then you become capable of surrender. And that failure, after doing your 100% into that technique, if failure comes, that failure becomes your surrender. And this is the ultimate technique. With this, all the questions relating to these sutras has come to an end. We will take tomorrow the next set of techniques for intellectual and techniques for the feeling type. There are two types of people. One is intellectual type, the other is feeling type. And those techniques, two techniques I'll take, followed by the questions, and this is how these talks continue. So until then, take care and do have a pleasant day.